All right, so this chapter we are going to talk about outlining and organizing your speeches. So, again, organization is so important. All right, the basics of outlining. Formatting, using correct symbols. You don't need to format this on your own. Again, I cannot emphasize enough. You need to use the template that I've posted for your outline. But the symbols that you use, as you probably are familiar with, are Roman numerals for the main points, and then any indentations or whatever we usually do, uppercase letters, and then any details or points off of that main point, we use literally or usually lowercase letters. So division of subpoints or main points. A main point should not introduce more than one idea. So if your main point is introducing too much, you may want to separate those into two different points. Okay? Coherence is also really important, and this is really big with, with anything, but it should make sense why you are saying what you're saying. It should tie in with the topic. If there is a step in your demonstration speech that you're giving that may seem random, maybe tell us why this step is important, why you have to do this before you do the next thing, okay? So make sure there's coherence, that it all ties together. Completeness, so again, we're just talking about basic outlines. It needs to be full sentences, not phrases. You want it to be complete because phrases will lead me to have to assume, and you do not want that. And then balance, make sure you discuss the main points equally. So in your template, it has like point A or, sub point B. You don't have to follow that exactly. I know with some main points, you're going to have a little bit more to say, but it shouldn't be an outlandish amount that you are having, that you're talking about one main point and then the next one you're like real quick and then you move on to another one and you have a ton to say. Okay, there should be balance. Patterns of organization, okay? So how you might organize your main points, okay? And something to keep in mind, I'll say this a lot, but as we go through these chapters, remember, they might go with and I might give examples of the speech that we're working on, but this is just in general of, public speaking of speeches that you might organize, okay? So chronological, I'm sure you know what that means, but I'm still going to go over it. That means in order of time. So let's say you're doing an informative presentation over JFK. Maybe your first main point would be his upbringing. Your second main point would be the assassination. And then your third main point would be, the effects of that on his wife's life and on his family or, whatever. So chronological is in order of time. Spatial is in order of space, not like outer space, but in order of space. So that could be if you were talking about parts of a car. You might take us, first let's talk about the front of the car, now let's talk about the body, and now let's talk about the trunk and, what's in the back of the car. A really cool one I heard when I didn't always do demonstration speeches. I like them now because I think they're more fun than just an informative speech of you just teaching us about a subject. But when I was a TA, they just did informative speeches. A demonstration is this type of informative speech, whatever. But my point is, a student did quirky places to go. And I think I told y'all I'm from Texas. So she organized hers spatially. So one of her main points was Austin, which is the capital of Texas. One was Dallas, and one was Houston or San Antonio. I can't remember. Okay. So that was kind of cool. So that was kind of that was organized spatially by city. Causal. So that might be you organize it by the cause, as it says. Okay. Problem solution is, y'all are actually going to do that, organization for your persuasive speech. So problem solution is identifying that there is a problem and what that problem is, and then providing a solution for it. Okay. I like this one and the next one because I think it's very easy for us to just complain, and I do mean us, me included, to just complain about things, but not to actually come up with a solution or support a solution or, you know, be a part of the solution. So I like problem solution and problem cause solution. The only difference between the problem solution and problem cause solution, so moving on to the next one, problem cause solution is where you state a problem, then you state the cause. What is this coming from? Where is this problem, happening, or how is it happening? And then you provide a solution. Okay. And then topical is, I'm going to be honest with y'all. Hold on. Let me see if there's more. I need to reorganize this. But basically, topical is if you don't use any of the other patterns of organization. If it doesn't fit into any of the other patterns of organization, including the next slide, so I apologize if it's confusing, if it does not fit into any other patterns of organization, then it would be topical. It's just organized by topic. All right, comparative advantages. So this is where you might be asked, so I'm kind of, okay, I'll give you the definition, then I'll give you an example. I'm big on examples because I think examples are how we learn and, whatever. So comparative advantage is where you give two options for something, and then your other main point is deciding which one is better and choosing one. So that might sound silly. So let's say that you work for a company. So let's say that you work for a school, and, schools have vending machines and stuff and get sponsored or whatever. So let's say your boss is like, all right, I want you to look into being sponsored for our, for sports. Let's talk about being sponsored by Coca-Cola, or I don't know if it's sponsored, whatever. Don't get into the, nitty gritty, but you know what I mean. By Coca-Cola or Pepsi. So what you might do, and then I want you to present it, and I want you to present what you think we should do. So you would present research on Coca-Cola, here's what they offer, blah, 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 same for Pepsi, blah, 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 and then you would propose which one we should go for. And obviously it's going to be Coca-Cola because Pepsi tastes like flat Coke, okay? Just kidding, not really. I'm a Coke person, but no offense if you're a Pepsi person. So the thing about comparative advantages is it's not that one of them sucks. You're not like, this one's way better. They're both really good options. You're just comparing, as it says, comparing the advantages, but then proposing which one has the most advantages that you think would be a better option for whatever, the case may be. Monroe's motivated sequence, maybe you've heard of this. This is a huge, huge, huge commonality. If you have gotten into, if you are familiar with, or in the future you might get into sales, they do this a lot with sales. So you bring up attention, you call attention to the subject or the problem, you contend that there's a need, you provide satisfaction. So here's, this product, here's what, we have. Then visualization is where you help them visualize how their life would be better. And this sounds kind of corny, but it's actually very effective. You help them visualize how things would be better if they had this product, or if they bought that software that you're selling, whatever you're selling. And then action. Action is where they take action. So that might be you saying, all right, so which one of these plans did you want to sign up for? Right? And then narrative. Narrative is a story, right? You've probably heard of that. Narrative is a story. So it's not that the whole thing is just a made up story. We're not going there with it. But the point is that a story is being used to make your point, and a story is being used to help your audience understand. So those are the patterns of organization. A bit more on organization. So you want to provide definitions. You might not know where your audience is as far as knowledge base with your topic. And a lot of times your audience will have different knowledge base for anything. So you want to provide definitions when in doubt. You don't want them to be wondering and to be confused about what you're talking about, because if they don't even know what something means, then how are they going to be able to pay attention to, let alone grasp, the rest of what you're saying? You want to use signposts. So signposts are where they kind of signal where you're going next. So they're not transitions that actually take you from one point to another. Signposts can be, so for example, it can be, um, if you're like, oh, and an issue with this is the cost of living, which I'm going to talk about in my next main point. So you're not going there yet. You're not talking about the cost of living yet. But you brought up cost of living as it pertains to that main point, and you signpost, you let them know, hey, I'm going to talk about that next. And then you implement transitions. Transitions are so, so important, y'all. I think they're understated, but transitions are super, super important. Those take you from one point to another, and they are incredibly important so we know, hey, I'm moving on. Yeah, I went over that last bullet point. It may not seem like a big deal. Again, I can't emphasize enough. I know I said this over the chapter over introductions and conclusions. I know, excuse me, I know organization might not be fun to talk about. It might not be as interesting, but y'all, I cannot say enough how important organization is. And you're going to realize it because every class, and I'm not saying this to be mean, I definitely not saying this to be funny or to, laugh at anyone's expense, but at least once in the semester, in every class, sometimes it's more, a student just panics or they don't practice or whatever, and they just ramble. And you're going to realize when if that happens, you're going to realize how important organization is, because even if you're not doing the peer eval, you're listening as you should be. And you're like, where are they? Like, what is going on? I have no idea what they're talking about. Are they on their next main point? Is this a main point? Are they on their conclusion? Okay. So, organization is incredibly, incredibly important. All right. So this is just something fun you can do if you want. You don't have to, but when I teach face-to-face, this is a speech by Kanye West. And despite what you think of him as a person, or as an artist, or just him in general, it is a very disorganized speech. It's an acceptance speech he gave at an award show, and it's an example of how if there's no organization, you have no idea what the speaker's talking about, where they're going with it, etc. Okay, so if you want a little bit of extra practice, or if you want to, see my point made of how important organization is, watch that clip, and that will tell you, try to identify what his main point is, where he's going, what his overarching idea was. Okay. All right. That's all I've got. I will see y'all or talk to y'all next time.